So now that we've given you some ways to make an atheist backslide,
No, you haven't. I did it all by my lonesome. Again!
or how to prove that the atheist doesn't exist.
Wait, what? That can't be right. Oh God, what's happening? Help me! No, wait. No, you haven't done anything of the sort. What are we like? 5, 6, 7, a million videos in, and all you've done is make terrible arguments and not understand how anything works, including, or even especially, words. And yes, that's all very fun and hilarious, but probably not for you.
In other words, he's really not an atheist, he's an agnostic, someone who doesn't know.
So are you! You're an agnostic. Everybody, in my opinion, essentially is, whether they call themselves that or not, in relation to the claim of pretty much anything supernatural. Unless they have some piece of information that proves otherwise. That's irrelevant to the point of them believing your specific God or any other. They do not believe. They are not theist, so they are an atheist. Don't make me say it again, because I swear to atheismo, I will eat your family.
If there's a God, we want to emphasize the principle of swinging from the intellect straight to the conscience.
Well, first off, you pointing at your head and talking about intellect is extremely misleading. Don't pretend you have one. You wouldn't want to be a liar, would you? Because God hates liars. And secondly, why, if you actually had one, is the consciousness in your left lung? Oh, I get it, you're gesturing to the heart, but you're one of those idiots who heard that the heart is slightly on the left and thought it meant way goddamn on the left. No, it's here, doofus. Basically in the centre of your chest and leans slightly to the left. Otherwise your lungs would be really, really weirdly shaped. You just can't get anything right, can you?
It's so important to know that by doing this, you're not sidestepping the questions of the atheist.
I think you are, actually, and I think you know you are, with your, aha, you're an agnostic, therefore I am smart nonsense. Whether or not the word they use is atheist or agnostic or spamtastic dragon, they will likely define it as they don't believe in God. And whether they know or not is irrelevant to your complete lack of evidence.
But you have to learn that it's not wise to stay in the intellect and wrestle with someone intellectually.
I mean, he's not wrong. That's amazing. Yeah, that's right, folks who are into Kirk and Ray's videos and think that they are a valuable resource. He just called you stupid because you couldn't hold up an intellectual debate on the existence of God, you big dummies. Although, to be fair, if you do think that these guys are anything other than a set of charlatans only after your money, I'm not sure I would disagree.
Because it's going to take you down a rabbit trail and waste all your time.
Or God forbid, you start to disbelieve yourself. Start questioning God's existence. Oh no, don't let them do that. They might get their Sundays back and start putting their money into things that make them and other people happy instead of lining your or various churches' pockets. And worst of all, what if they're kind and generous out of the goodness of their hearts and not because of some vague nonsensical threat of damnation? Better nip that in the bud before they start thinking for themselves instead of regurgitating your gibberish, eh?
You've eventually got to get to the heart.
Don't you mean the lung? You know, where the consciousness is? The funny thing is, there are absolutely intellectual arguments for God's existence. I don't buy them either, but if you can't make them, then I really think you should stop even trying. You're not going to convince anyone of anything by appealing to your idea of consciousness, because in all likelihood, theirs is completely different. That's why if you are going to convince anyone of anything, it's going to have to be via the intellect. Well, unless they aren't very smart and you just lie to them. Oh right, of course, that explains your audience.
A surgeon's not going to spend all his time working on your dandruff when he knows he needs to cut into the heart and get to where the real problem is.
Are you trying to suggest that the cause of someone's scalp shedding is inside the heart? Or that a heart surgeon would be so easily distracted by someone's head and the condition thereof that they would completely forget what they were here to do? I actually do understand what you're trying to get at, but it's done so incredibly poorly that it just brings up multiple questions that I cannot get out of my head. Don't they normally put hair covers on surgery patients? Why isn't anyone stopping the doctor from his irrelevant endeavours? This rabbit hole continues forever!
And that's what we do when we ask a person if they consider themselves to be a good person.
And then you spout off a load of crap with the standards of the Bible as their basis, and some extremely poorly justified definitions about liars and adulterers that are so silly they border on parody, and are so easy to refute that I can do it. And as we have said time and time again, Sir Sick is a moron. Just not that much of a moron, apparently.
We just deliberately make that turn and go for the conscience.
Translation. We got nothing, but we hope to trick people into thinking that we have, and pretend that that's even better than actually convincing someone using our big boy brains.
After you die, usually you go to the mortician, they put you in a coffin, then they put you in the ground, and then you rot.
That's what they tell you. Have you ever heard of Soylent Green? It's peepalicious!
So is there a spiritual life?
No.
Wait, who is... That's not Ray or Kirk. Me am the disappoint. Now I have to make fun of some faceless creature on their behalf. Although to be fair, it's almost certainly still their terrible argumentation. So let's just call this being Rourke.
There's not.
Where do people go once they're put in the ground?
They just stay there. That's where they go.
I honestly haven't heard a decent argument that refutes the idea that your mind doesn't just fizzle out once you're dead. It's usually, but that is scary and makes me feel bad. Well, boo-hoo. Talking to people is scary and makes me feel bad. But if I don't at least acknowledge the pizza delivery guy, he's going to spit in my next order. So I get over it. And yes, I did just compare oblivion to having tasty food hand-delivered to me for basically no effort on my end.
It's as simple as that.
So do you believe in God?
No, of course not. Why would you take a religious book and say, oh yeah, these have got to be true, this makes sense, when the people who wrote that book thousands of years ago, they were just superstitious and they didn't know how the world really worked.
Right, okay, so you must have a really strong rebuttal to that, right? There's some overlooked proof of the Bible's validity, or perhaps a reading of it that suddenly lines up with reality.
Okay. Would you consider yourself to be a good person?
Oh, right. I forgot this is Rourke. Intellectual discussion is bad because we all know God isn't actually real, right?
Yeah, of course, I'm a good person.
Have you ever told a lie?
No, I've never told a lie. Yeah, I mean, who hasn't?
What would that make you?
Oh my god, he's literally doing the same thing that Ray did last time. The thing that I remind you didn't f***ing work.
It would make me it would make me a human being.
Boom! You got wrecked, noob. God damn. If I had to give Ray and his credit for one thing, it's that they didn't cheat at the atheist selection process. What I mean is that so far at least, neither subject has been a complete dribbling buffoon or some schmuck that they've been feeding answers to, but damn, does this show how weak all their arguments are. I guess at the same time though, it does help to show how deluded they are into thinking they have actually achieved anything. So there is that.
Well, if I told a lie, what would you call me?
Well, I would say you're a human being. I mean, we all lie, but okay, yeah, you're a liar.
Okay, I want to point something out for you here. He only conceded your point, not because he thinks you're right, but because he knew you almost certainly wouldn't give it up like a dog with a bone. And there is a suspicious cut there, which I'm betting will be him qualifying liar in this context. So I'm gonna have to do it instead. Saying anyone who has ever told a single lie is a liar, but that Rourke did not rebut the "it makes you human" thing, so has definitely lied in his life, so is a liar. Why should we believe anything from this liar? And the even more silly point that if, as stated, any lie ever equal liar, then everybody is a liar. So the word liar is completely and utterly useless as a term. Like he said, lying makes you human. So if your definition is used and I ask about someone and they say that they are a liar, I will have literally no more information about them than I did before I asked.
Have you ever stolen anything?
No, I don't steal.
Have you taken anything that wasn't yours, regardless of the value?
Probably.
What would that make you?
It would make me a thief, and I'm gonna go to hell for that.
Oh, that's great. He's just mocking you now, and rightly so. Also, if I remember correctly, that wasn't part of Ray's shtick, so you're already off script, man. Abort! Abort! But fine. So apparently, if we're going to go with your definition, taking anything ever that doesn't belong to you, so if I was to be extremely uncharitable, and I will, now borrowing your mum's laptop to do a quick search, that's now a crime. You go to jail and then hell, 'cause you the evil.
Okay. Have you ever used God's name in vain?
Yeah.
Okay, that's called blasphemy.
Oh no, blasphemy! We might make the all-powerful God upset because he can't take minor slights. Oh dear.
You're gonna squirt some? You're gonna cry? Huh? Yeah, see, you're gonna cry.
Pathetic.
What's your name again?
Travis.
Travis. According to your own admission to me, you've lied, you've stolen, and you've blasphemed the God who gave you life.
The God that gave him life. Not to be that guy that I have totally been before, but citation needed, son. You can't just say that with nothing to back it up and expect people to go, oh, I must be a bad person then. You think he's the God that gave me, him, whoever, life. I reject that claim. So does he. So it's not going to convince me or him of anything if you just bullheadedly act like all your beliefs are facts when you know damn well that you can't prove any of them. God damn it. Oops, so's God. I know you're really sensitive to non-insults. Actually, you know what? If everybody else could start taking my name in vain, I would actually appreciate it. I think it would make for a great bit of viral marketing, and he doesn't want it, so everybody wins.
So, based on those, if he were to judge you based on those...
Excuse me, you left out the really stupid adultery part? Going off script again. You know, the one if a man thinks of another woman, he's committed adultery in his heart. 'Cause, sure, then I'm f***ing your mum and your sister right now, Rook. She seems like a nice lady.
Would you be innocent or guilty?
I guess I'd be guilty.
Guilty of being a beardy badass.
Would you go to heaven or hell?
Assuming that such things exist and taking for granted that you believe in all that, I don't know, I guess I'd go to hell if that's where he sends people.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You have to assume a lot. The things that I'm sure Mr. Rook here doesn't think that he assumes but knows, and yet almost certainly doesn't actually know why he knows.
Does that concern you?
No, because I don't believe in it.
That's part of the disconnect. These arguments will never ever work because it's like we are talking football, but actually one of us is talking about real life sports and the other about the video game version. And then you wonder why we're all fat and no one got hurt. It might superficially look like the same discussion, but they have almost nothing to do with each other. So Ray and Kirk admit that they can't argue intellectually, but don't realise that when they ask these questions, they are basing them off their perceived fact of their beliefs being true, with absolutely no ability to understand that these people do not think the same way as them and do not find their questions or arguments compelling in the slightest.
When you write a research paper or a thesis paper, what do you do?
Well, you see, he takes books written by people who have no idea about a topic, and anything that they might be correct about is thousands of years out of place and just doesn't apply to today, and then acts like those are all facts and is very surprised when none of the research bears fruit. Oh no, wait.
Well, I do research, and I don't make things up. I don't say, oh well, this unexplained data must come from such and such. I mean,
And that's what I'm telling you today.
Ooh, that was authoritative, Rook. Well, you have my attention. Do tell.
If you research the Bible the way you do a research paper, and you study the claims that I've given you today, you'll find that they're true.
So, if I test the claims of the Bible using factual evidence, and your claims in this video, which have been, well, hardly even claims, but if you did make some claims and cut them out because they were even less compelling than your questions, then holy hell, how bad were they? So they already don't hold up, and neither do the factual claims of the Bible. Wait, what was your point?
I'm saying that Jesus Christ came 2,000 years ago. He paid the fine, the penalty. It's clear being a liar, a thief, and a blasphemer, that you've broken God's law. And the only way that we can have a relationship with God now is through the blood of Christ, through his death and resurrection.
Matey boy doesn't get to answer that. Again, weird that you have that surprising habit of cutting out these responses. And you never answered his questions. But sure, if you believe that the Bible is true, then yes, all that stuff must have happened. And if you go into studying the Bible thinking it's true, you're probably going to find that it holds up. Especially if you aren't being particularly critical, aka using that there intellect, and only your lungs, I mean feelings. But that's not how most people today, and by today I mean like not 2,000 years ago, do things, especially people arguing the merits of the existence of God. They are going to find every flaw in your argument and every chink in your armour, and if your evidence is lacking, or in this case non-existent, then you're just going to lose. And we will end there, because we have a new challenger in the wings. Next time we will see how much you manage not to convince yet another person. Until then, I'll be busy with your sister mum. She's taking me out for ice cream. Ice cream means sex. Why, hello there, you terrible people. The best kind of people. It's me, Sir Sick. Could you not tell? I just wanted to remind you all to subscribe, push the bell icon, and to check out my various social media things for other equally pointless content. And more importantly, to make sure that you know when a video comes out. Recently, it seems YouTube doesn't want you to know because I am so handsome, famous, and good at the sex, and they are jealous, obviously. It really helps me out if you do, and apparently, if you are notification belled up, they have reset it or something, so check them settings to make sure you're getting what you're supposed to. Hopefully, we can get my numbers back up, because my self-worth is directly related to how many internet people show up on my videos. I'm sure that's completely healthy, right? Also, don't forget to panic buy Sick Brand merch, and don't forget to panic crowd support the channel. Thanks very much.